How easy is it to blame genes? I have a fat gene. Everybody in my family is fat. So am I. Or somebody says, oh, my mom, she had polycystic ovarian syndrome. I most probably have that gene. Is it true or not? So many of my clients come to me and they want to do the DNA test. And why would you want to do the DNA test? Like, what is the advantage? And who is it for? So let's first start with blood tests. If you do blood tests, for example, for hormones, you want to see, do I have polycystic ovarian syndrome, or what is the root cause of infertility, or am I in a perimenopause, menopause? Yes, there are some markers that will show you where you are at that day, at that time. But we all know that women go in stages and the hormones change all the time. What never changes is DNA. That stays with you, is the genetic code that half of it you got from your mom and half of it you got from your dad, and it predisposes you to certain disease or maybe some mutations. But I also want to mention that genes, it's like a loaded gun, but it is the environment that pulls the trigger. So if you eat unhealthy food, if you are stressing yourself, if you don't sleep well, if you don't exercise, all this will add up to the genes and then they can show up. So the genes can switch on or switch off by the environment. And that's what the epigenetic is about. However, very often, if we are not able to find the root cause from the urinary test and blood test, and even though we change the diet, and there still is this mystery, we do the DNA test. And today I want to present you this hormone DNA test. What we are looking at, what we have found out. So this was done for a 37-year-old woman that has gut issues for 10 years. And believe it, we tried all the strategies. So of course we started with the stool test and we saw some of the pathogens. So we were doing the elimination, so the 5R, yeah, so remove, replace, repopulate, all of that. And still she cannot eat broccoli, she cannot eat the fiber that I tell her to do. She's limited, she's eating only meat and steamed vegetable. For how long can you live like that? On the top of it, 37, she's in the age when it's a high time to conceive and she wants to have children. But of course, this gut brain axis and the impact it has on her, of course, also her psychological way, it's we need to fix it. So she decided to do the DNA hormonal test. Oh, so many pages. Of course, I'm not going to go through absolutely everything. Maybe just to like explain that we have a gene and we have like ATCG, so apple, tree, car, garage. This is how I remember it. And then, of course, we have certain variations. So this is called genotype. And how do the scientists know? Because they take a group of people and they see, aha, everybody who had this combination has polycystic ovarian syndrome, so they are prone to that. Yeah, so this is how we collect data, and there are 23,000 genes, and we still don't know enough. But about some genes that were very well researched, we already know. So in this test, we are looking at what is known, what are the variants, and what impact it can have on the body. So for example, if there is a predisposition for early menopause, bone health disorders, so it starts with osteopenia, and then it goes to osteoporosis, and it can lead to the fracture of the bone, which nobody wants, or thrombosis, or breast cancer, ovarian cancer, prostate cancer, you name it. And in this test, we are not looking only on synthesis, how we produce the hormones, but we are also looking at how we detoxify them, how we break them down, how we eliminate them. Yeah. So here we have, it's the genes that play a role, but also diet, what we eat, and the lifestyle that we have, and the medication and supplements that we take. Because more medication you take, of course, it's synthetic. Of course, it has to go through the liver. It increases the liver enzymes. It puts the pressure on it. And at some point, the organs are going to give up, and that causes oxidative stress and aging and damage. So look, this is the results. The page that is, let's say, the most important for me. I right away see what I need to focus on. So, for example, progesterone synthesis. Okay, she's not producing sufficient amount of progesterone. And you might be thinking from the physiology and biology, but progesterone is produced from the corpus luteum after the ovulation. Yes, that's the surge of progesterone. But we have luteinizing hormone that is producing progesterone in a very small dose throughout the cycle every single day, because progesterone is needed. It's basically signaling hormone to osteoblasts for the bone marrow to grow the bone, yeah, to make it strong. And then it's the estrogen that will make it hard and strong and has impact on it as well. Progesterone, of course, because it's also pregnancy hormone, is important for the implantation. And women that have decreased progesterone synthesis are prone to miscarriage. And then, if they have this information from the DNA test, they can at least tell the gynecologist in advance, look, I have this genetic polymorphism, so I have a predisposition for a low progesterone synthesis, and I want to get pregnant. Would that be possible in a luteal phase to supplement with the micronized progesterone? And usually it's going to happen, and then you avoid the miscarriages or you avoid the osteoporosis. Yeah, so there are so many reasons why this might be already good to look at. Androgen synthesis, so there is a moderate risk. And so later on, I will tell you what is the risk. So if I already know that she has been diagnosed, labeled with a possible polycystic ovarian syndrome, but then two other gynecologists dismissed this diagnostic. So is it true, or what can we do about it? Yeah. So we right away see that there is something not quite right with the androgens. Yeah. Estrogen, hi, there is a high risk with the estrogen synthesis, so we need to pay attention. Sex hormone binding globulin is absolutely fine. Just to explain, hormones, steroid hormones are made out of fat, out of cholesterol. You know that cholesterol, fat cannot mix with water, blood. So these steroid hormones cannot travel in the bloodstream on its own. We are using sex hormone binding globulin, that's a protein carrier that carries the hormone to the cell, then it connects to the receptor, and then it passes the message to the cell, and the cell will make whatever it's supposed to make. That's why we need the sex hormone binding globulin. And usually if somebody has low or high levels, it has impact on the free circulating hormones. Either you have too much or too little. But in her case, that is not a problem. Estrogen transport, the same, you need the transporters. Hydroxylation is the phase 1 detoxification. If you have not watched the videos or the video course about how to detoxify your life quickly and safely, you don't know that we have three phases of the detoxification in the liver, and they all need to be in the balance. Because imagine, I was just telling to my client yesterday, I was born in Czechoslovakia, and we didn't have, of course, at the time, dishwasher. So we were washing the dishes with my sister. So my sister would wash it, and I would rinse it under the water. So imagine phase 1 and phase 2 in the liver. And if we work in the same speed, we are in synergy, right? There is this synchrony of how we do it. And if my sister is faster than me, then, it creates the stress. Or if I am faster than my sister, it puts the pressure on her. And the same is happening in the liver. We want the phase 1 that activates, for example, toxins, drugs, and hormones to work in the balance with the phase 2 that detoxifies them. Because if the phase 2 is working in a very fast way, then the hormone didn't even have a chance to pass the information to the cells in the body. Immediately it was grabbed and eliminated. Yeah. And on the other hand, if the phase 2 was active for too long, these hormones were recirculating for such a long time and they were not detoxified, and they could have caused more damage. So these phases need to be in balance, and we are looking with her, pay attention for the hydroxylation, glucuronidation, moderate. Maybe she needs more broccoli sprouts. Maybe she needs more calcium D-glucarate. We would be also looking at the stool test on if the pathogens are increasing the enzyme beta-glucuronidase that recirculates toxins and the metabolites of the hormones. Yeah, so it's complex. We are building the picture to really find the root cause of her issues. Methylation is low, so we will need to support it, or there is a low risk. So we will look at like where is she? Like how do we need to support it? Redox balance high, so that is not good. It's a high risk. So redox, so we have toxins, yeah, so free radicals that are everywhere around us in the food, in the environment, smoking, drinking, stress, you name it. And then we have antioxidants. So antioxidants are the goodies from the fruit and vegetable, mostly from vegetable, and they catch the free radicals and they eliminate them. And we want to have this redox balance. We want to have, enough antioxidants to catch the free radicals and preferably decrease the exposure to the free radicals. So perfumes, deodorants, shampoos, creams, Botox, you name it. Yeah. So that is a high risk and we need to pay attention. Glutathione conjugation, it's fine. Glutathione is endogenous, so it's made by our body. It's a powerful antioxidant. Sulfation, it's like food that is high in sulfur, and we need it also for one of the detoxification pathways. And then coagulation, this is like a risk of thrombosis. So she doesn't have a risk of thrombosis, which is good. And then, of course, like here is a nice summary. So we already know what is her problem and which food she needs to eat, what she needs to avoid, and so on. So then, of course, I make it even personalized for her. I help her to order supplements, for example, coenzyme Q10 that is needed for the mitochondria, the energy powerhouse. We mix it with omega-3 and so on. And I explain to her, maybe in future, do the DEXA scan just to know where you go, even though she's 37. There is a high risk of osteoporosis, liver congestion, and I also check her blood tests for the liver enzymes. Yeah, so we are putting everything together. And here are the genes. And so, for example, the first one, this is the first step conversion. So that's the cholesterol that is turning it in the mitochondria into pregnenolone. And then this pregnenolone turns it into many other. I'm in a little while going to show you how complex this is. So risk of pregnancy was right away. I know this for me that I will have to be careful if she wants to get pregnant, like how we go around it. And then, do I have a confirmation of the PCOS, polycystic ovarian syndrome? Yes. And when I look at it, so I can right away see that this CYP17A, which is the phase one enzyme, so it's a 450 group, I can see that it's increased. So she has this risk and the polymorphism. And so what's happening is that the aromatase is decreased. And if you have watched any of the videos about the hormone urinary test, I definitely recommend that you watch it. You will understand that even female turn testosterone into estrogen. So estrogen on its own is not synthesized. It is synthesized from androgens. And it is with this step enzyme aromatase CYP19A1. And if this one, the action of it is decreased, it is not going to take testosterone and turn it into estradiol. So what will happen is that she is going to have more of the masculine hormone, testosterone, which is going to cause maybe growing hair on her face, maybe hormonal acne, maybe loss of the hair, maybe it will change the shape of her body, and she is not going to be fertile. So it's going to have impact on her menstrual cycle. So we need to upregulate this enzyme aromatase. And that will be with food and with supplements, but not working in an optimal way. Let's help it a little bit, yeah? And so on. I'm not going to go through all of them, but you will see, for example, glucuronidation is decreased. So broccoli extract might be um, a good solution. Yeah. Then the redox. Okay, we can see that this is the carcinogenic substance. So we will have to look at it. What is she eating? What can we take into consideration? Blood clotting was absolutely fine for her, and this is basically the pathway. Yeah, and if you have watched, or if you want to watch the Dutch test, dry urinary hormonal test for cortisol and hormones, you will see that there is this pathway. So we always start with the cortisol. Right away, you see that she is not transferring the cortisol into the pregnenolone. And then some of these transactions are faster, for example, into androgens, but then this is slower. So she is not creating enough estrogen and estradiol that she would need to conceive. Yeah, so that's what we are going to focus on. And then, of course, we are looking into phase two, the metabolites. So everything that is in orange, this is the pathway that would be creating even more free radicals, which are damaging the DNA. When the DNA is damaged, we know that the cells are replicating. If they replicate with a mistake, it might lead to cancer. So she has a higher risk of cancer. So what we do is there are even supplements for these redox reactions. So we are, of course, for future even going to think about all these powerful supplements. And then we can also see that her COMT is increased, and it could possibly increase homocysteine. Homocysteine is a toxic molecule, so we also need to look at how we are going to down-regulate the COMT. And we are going to do the blood test for homocysteine to see where she stands now. And then also in the future, she will be able to control it. And this report, you can see now we are on a page number 11 out of 24, because I showed you the start, because I had there my notes. But even for her, if she does not understand genetics, she can read what is every single gene about. Maybe she will not know that this is luteinizing hormone, follicle stimulating hormone, cortisol releasing hormone. She doesn't know that this is interleukin 1, interleukin 6. This is the NF alpha. All these are pro-inflammatory. It is causing inflammation, yeah, which then increases the free radicals, the damage that is happening in the body. And yeah, here I make a note for her, risk of pregnancy loss, bone density. She needs to avoid the aromatase inhibitor. So there is a specific food that some people are using to upregulate aromatase. Yeah, but in her case, she needs to, they try to inhibit aromatase and upregulate it. And in her case, she needs to look into this list that I give her and be careful that she does not eat that food. And of course, she needs to supplement vitamin D, minimum 4,000 international units. And it needs to be vitamin D3 with K2, preferably in MCT oil, that's a pure ketone. And I love the one that is from Sunday Natural. And of course, I even make here a note for her that when she is in a menopause, because by that time she's not going to work with me because I will be retired, but she will know that if the DEXA scan is, going down and she has osteoporosis, she should talk to her doctor about anti-resorptive therapies. Actually, my mom is doing it now, and it's this Foxamex, and you have to stand for 1 hour because it's damaging esophagus. It's really burning it, so you cannot go sitting, lying, or anything. And this helps the resorption. It basically helps to get the calcium and minerals into the bone to avoid osteoporosis. Yeah. So I'm not going to go into details about all of that, but you can see that for every single gene, I wrote for her which supplements she needs to take. Myoinositol, magnesium, berberin, chromium. We also looked in her blood test into glycosylated hemoglobin and glucose, which is standard, but we also look at the fasting insulin. Yeah. And we are looking how how well she's working, because we know that polycystic ovarian syndrome and androgens are led by insulin levels. So we want to check this, and then we are using also adaptogens. And of course, to support fertility, because I want her to get pregnant, we are using this beautiful herb, shatavari and maca. And this, I just made a note here for somebody who is losing the hair and they would think that it's genetic. So in her case, it's not genetic. We really know that it's the lifestyle. Yes, she doesn't have a predisposition for that. Okay, very, very, very long, 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 long report. And if you are interested in doing the DNA test, it's super easy. You might be asking, how is it done? I place the order for you. You just like pay the invoice, and it's actually not expensive compared to stool test that is very expensive. And you receive this kit, and you just have to prick your test, and you have to put 4 drops of the blood onto the paper, dry for 24 hours. So I usually recommend doing it, for example, Sunday morning. Then over the Sunday, it dries. And on Monday, you just put it to the envelope that is prepaid, everything is prepared, and then you drop it off in any DHL place. So it's super easy and tells you a lot. And this was only DNA hormones. Watch the video about the DNA core. That is actually going to be my test results, where I show you what everything you can learn about you and how to adjust your diet and lifestyle according to your genes.